nothing. They went
No
for
points.
it. So the Cardinals only need a field goal to put it to. There's like 3.5 minutes to go. They need a field goal to force overtime. Touchdown wins the game. Kyler Murray starts throwing dimes down the field, and then they run 3 times in a row. And long story short, there's like 15 seconds to go. They've got the ball at the Green Bay 5. Okay, 15 seconds to go. They can probably, if they throw it into the end zone, probably got 2 or 3 plays to go. Probably 2 because it's probably second down.
Yeah.
And he's got one-on-one coverage with A.J. Green, big receiver. And
one of the best.
Historically. And he calls apparently an audible. A.J. Green takes off and makes contact with the corner that's covering and just stops. I mean, he does nothing. And Murray throws the ball to his, to his back shoulder. So if he turns, he's going to catch the ball. It's going to be a touchdown. I mean, he stops. It's like he doesn't look for the ball or anything. And the DB, who's now almost bodied up face to face, reaches out with his left hand, tips the ball, with AJ still have no idea what's going on, apparently. In fact, he turns the opposite direction, and the guy reaches out and makes the interception.
I said this to you before we went on air, but it's death, taxes, Packers, voodoo magic on Thursday nights.
I know, and it's kind of like that thing is, I don't know what it is about them, but it's not what they do to you so much as what you do to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's incomplete, they're going into overtime.
Yeah.
And
they've got Aaron Rodgers, so there's
that. But if but the other team has Kyler Murray, and if you flip a coin, if you get the ball, you may win the game. It's just, or you win if one of the most experienced and proven receivers in the NFL on the goal line looks for the ball.
Just turns his head.
Everybody knows you got to pass because there's only 15 seconds left. If you run, I guess you could have spiked the ball because I think it was second down. But it's just, I mean, if it was a rookie out there, maybe. But it kind of reminded me, even though it was a different pass, and I don't mean to bring up bad memories for Aggies, but it reminded me of Jaquay Williams running in 2013 on 1st and goal, which I don't know why a freshman was out there at that point in a game, but quitting on a fade route in the end zone against Alabama. And because he quit on it, it was an easy interception and took a scoring opportunity away, and you ended up losing by 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of reminded me of, except this is a guy who is a borderline Hall of Famer and just quit on the play, I guess because he didn't get the audible. But don't you at least come out in that position, at that time of the game, and that place on the field, and be looking for the ball?
I don't know.
It was
just a bizarre ending.
I'm not a Cardinals fan.
That's their first loss this year, isn't
it? I'm not a Cardinals fan, but I detest the Packers.
No more undefeateds? Well, I mean,
no,
I'm a Lions fan, so I
of course detest the Packers. Well, you should detest,
and including the Lions,
especially the
Lions.
We don't want to make this show a show about the Lions, but I liked them growing up for no other reason than their uniforms kind of resembled the Cowboys, so they were one of my favorite teams because of that. And now that Dan Campbell is the coach, I really root for them hard. And I think when I watch them, they're actually getting better.
They're just like that one
play,
that one bounce away most of the time.
And it's that that losing culture that always does it to them. And I think Dan is trying to break them out of that. But man, he's finding out it's really hard to do.
This voice you hear is Olin Buchanan.
Olin Buchanan.
This is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Richard Zane, Olin Buchanan inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Olin will be here for the entire 8 o'clock hour. We call that the Go Hour. 9 o'clock, we'll talk some baseball and some SEC football with Chris Gordy of Sports Talk in Houston. Then we'll actually talk to a Texas A&M ice hockey player at the bottom half of the 9 o'clock hour as they take on Texas tonight at Spirit Ice Arena in town. 10 o'clock hour, we'll shift it to some David Nuno. So even though he's not in studio, you will still hear Nuno's voice at the end of the show. A atypical, nothing to count down to. No Billy Lucci either, but we've still got quite the show for you. Olin, we talked controversial ending in the football game last night. Don't know if you saw it, but there was a controversial ending in Texas A&M's soccer match last night in Columbia.
What was controversial?
Texas A&M not had the best of year. Obviously, they've dropped a lot of it. Have had a lot of injuries, a lot of kids
Everybody's
out with COVID.
Entitled to a mulligan.
Yes, it's a bad year for G. Guerreri and company. Still had a chance to get to the SEC tournament. In this league, the top 10 teams go to Orange Beach to compete in the postseason tournament.
I'd like to go to Orange Beach.
A&M was sitting in, I believe, 9th coming into the day. Needed at least a draw.
A tie. Okay.
To go.
Yeah.
Give up a goal in the 15th minute. Missouri's up 1-0. In the last minute and a half, the 89th minute, Texas A&M has a chance to score. Miley Hayes comes into the box. She's obviously fouled. Very clearly should have been a penalty kick. At the very least, the ball comes free, and then Aggie finishes it.
Okay.
Should be a 1-1 game with about 90 seconds to play.
Yeah.
Referee had blown the play dead, not letting the Aggies play advantage. And then he didn't give Missouri a card, didn't give A&M a penalty kick. Texas A&M loses the game 1-0. The season is over. They finish 11th.
So what you're saying is SEC officiating is suspect, even not just in football.
That's what I would be saying, and I'd be interested to hear what G. Guerreri would have to say, because if I know G, he's never one to hold anything back and is always willing to speak his mind.
Yeah, that's what I like about
G.
And I bet he was upset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll still be upset if he comes in studio on Wednesdays like he has with Nuno this entire season. So.
But, like I said, everybody's entitled to a mulligan, and you've had other issues involved with people being hurt. I'm sure not sure, but I would suspect there's some COVID issues and things like that. So
Guerreri's been very outspoken. They've had players in and out of COVID jail, as he puts it.
So, for him, it's the exception to the rule, no doubt about it.
It's the first losing season in Texas A&M program history. First time they've ever missed the SEC tournament. It's just a rough way to end the season.
Yeah, I mean, losing is one thing.
To end their career.
Yeah, losing is one thing. As we all know, when you lose because of let's call it questionable call, that's the thing that makes it really stick in your craw, because you don't like it, but you can handle your opponent outplaying you for a game. In any sport. Yeah, you know what? I got to give them credit. They outplayed me. They beat me.
Yeah.
But when you don't get a fair shake, or when you have an incompetent officiating cost, then that's that just eats at you.
Is there a bad call, a blown call throughout your life, sports watching life, that still bothers you, still eats at you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm just opening Pandora's box, but there's got to be the biggest one that you just can't stand.
Well, of course, I'm a Cowboys fan, right?
Yes.
And Super Bowl, I can't remember the number, but they called Dallas cornerback Benny Barnes for a pass interference when the Steelers receiver tripped him. Mm-hmm. And they called pass interference, and it led to a Steelers touchdown and a 35-31 win. I'm still pissed about that 2013 game against Alabama. Vinny Sunseri clearly interfered. I couldn't tell you who the receiver was. It might have been Evans. It probably was somebody else. And returned the interception, got an interception, returned it for a touchdown. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was pass interference. And then earlier in that game, Mike Evans catches, when A&M's up like 14-7, Mike Evans catches a long pass, and they call him for offensive pass interference. And he doesn't push off. The Alabama guy has got his hands on him. So, that, and then the targeting call, I think it was on Speedy Newell, got targeted by Mac Wilson on a kickoff return against Alabama,
2016,
and they don't call it. Now, I don't think that changed the outcome of the game, but again, they don't call it on Alabama, and to make it worse, the SEC, the commentators, Gary Daniels and Vern Lundquist, are talking, oh man, how do they not call targeting? And then the SEC office, which just proves that they're pro-Alabama, sends a message to them saying, no, this isn't targeting, here's why. And they're like, no, this is targeting. And then later they come out, it's targeting. Why would the SEC office be trying to explain away or trying to debate whether or not it is targeting when it clearly is? And do they do that for any other team?
No.
So, I can go on and on about bad calls that I've detested and bother me when I get me worked up, but I'll let it go at that.
I don't think G. Gary's going to let this one go for
I don't blame
a very long time.
If it happened the way you explained.
Nope. Olin, I do want to introduce our topic. Might as well. Everyone's probably expecting it. We just want to know how you're spending the bye week. Go ahead and hit us up on the A&B text line, Real Texas Banking, or if you want, go ahead and give us a call on the BCSI Associates hotline. It's the same number for both, 979-693-1150. Want to say hi to the crew in the back. Jamie Mari's running the show. She's got Meredith and I believe Victoria's back there helping her out this morning. They've decided to keep the lights off in the back. I tried to turn them on, and Jamie yelled at me. She says she prefers. No, she just prefers watching the monitors in the back without the other light.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's a Jamie thing. We've got 3 more segments here with Olin Buchanan here in the Go Hour. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, right here on The Zone.
All right, now a moment for Dr. Troy Elms and Dr. Jeremy Stewart. They're at Elms Orthodontics on the bypass in College Station. My kids got braces. The boys do, right? They needed to go somewhere that takes great care of them. When we made the move here, Cruz had some issues, and he went to Dr. Elms and Dr. Stewart there at Elms Orthodontics because he needed some help, and they're the ones to do it. If you've got kids at home that have some issues with their smile, maybe some crowding with their teeth, that's where you go, guys. Invisalign braces, top-notch people out there. Dr. Elms has been around for a long time, 30 years in this community, 16-time Best of the Brazos winner, platinum-level Invisalign provider, Dr. Jeremy Stewart, class of 03. He's amazing, good guy. Texted with him recently. Just the kind of people you trust your kids with. I'm telling you that right now. Get that free consultation today, 1501 Emerald Parkway in College Station. And call them up right now, 979-693-6300, or learn more online at drelms.com. Is Elms Orthodontics.
Find out the latest contests, promotions, and events for 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Log on to thezone1150.com.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
C&J Barbecue, Aggieland Express Car Wash, Mineral Body Works, awards, and more, and more. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
The end of the tax year is near, so if you need maintenance or replacement parts for your construction equipment, WPI has you covered. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings, and depth to teeth, buckets, and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap, or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Bellucci Hour Happy Hour.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Jason Bainski Realtor, Lone Star Roof Systems, Law Office of Jeff Paradowski, Kraus Paint and Body, Wings and More, Blinn College, and Serve Pro of the Brazos Valley. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagle football sponsors.
If you missed TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, you missed this.
As good as I've ever felt covering A&M recruiting in terms of, if you asking me how do I feel like they're going to fare, I don't think I've seen more momentum on the recruiting trail for this program than there is right now. They don't get any more significant than Walter Nolan. Shamar Stewart, top 10 player in the country. Evan Stewart, also here this weekend, top 10 player in the country. You had a 5-star, right at a 5-star commitment in Malik Silla in town. Smoke Bowie in town, right on that 5-star cut. You can keep going down the names. Le'Veon Moss, he decommitted from Alabama. You're trying to beat the Tide and LSU for him. These are just monster recruitments that are left for Texas A&M, and every one of them, you're fighting as big a battle as there is to fight. And you're not going to win all of them. You saw it last week with Bear Alexander.
It's TexAgs Radio on the Zone.
Welcome back. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Whether you're listening to us on the Zone, on the CW, or YouTube page, or streaming on TexAgs.com, I want to thank you for accessing the program. And Olin, we were talking about bad calls in the last segment. But
see, you opened the Pandora's box.
I told you. I knew exactly what I was doing. Peruna in College Station, chiming in on the A&B text line, wants to know, Olin, as a Cowboys fan, how about Mel Renfro's spelling error, phantom touch of the ball in the Super Bowl versus the Colts, or the equally frustrating phantom fumble recovery?
Well, I can see why they called the one. I didn't know if it was Mel Renfro though, but I guess it was. I'm not going to dispute that. I can see where they would have called that. The fumble was ridiculous. Dwayne Thomas fumbled it. Dave Manders, the center, recovered it. He gets out of the pile holding it in his hands. But he never should have fumbled on the 1 yard line. That's preposterous. But as we start talking about this, my mind starts going back to a couple non-calls that just, when I think about them, just grate at me. And let's go back to Athens, Georgia, a couple of years ago.
I was there in the rain.
In the
Sanford
rain.
Stadium.
The guy, was it Pickens? I don't know, holding the face mask of, I always forget that corner's name from A&M. The big guy that why can't I ever remember his name? Anyway.
You're asking the wrong guy.
He's holding
I know exactly what
he's
play you're
holding his
talking
face
about.
mask down right in front of the official. I mean, it's not even close. And then he catches a touchdown pass because the corner, whose name, why can't I remember that kid's name? It's kind of a different name. He's the guy that got kicked out of the game against South Carolina for a targeting call when all he did was bump into the guy.
You keep ranting. I'm going to look up this roster.
And somebody knows who I'm talking about. And then later in that game, when A&M's driving for a potential touchdown pass on 4th down, Jalen Weidemeyer gets absolutely mugged going out for a pass, and they don't call it. I mean, it's not even up for debate. And then that same game, they don't call defensive holding on a pass to golly, what? I'm having senior moments like crazy.
Was it Elijah Blades?
No.
Devion Renfro?
It was Devion Renfro. The receiver, number 2, that sat out last year.
Jamon Osmond?
Jamon Osmond. And the guy has a hold of his shirt, and it's stretched out. Mm-hmm. And you don't get those calls. SEC officiating on the road, the team that's supposed to win. You got hosed like crazy in that game.
Aaron from College Station chiming in, saying the missed PI against Georgia on Weidemeyer Also, the missed horse collar on Johnny Manziel
Yes.
against Auburn in 2013, and the missed offsides call against LSU. Was that 2014?
I don't know. They all run together. That's why I take notes. But yeah, I know Kyle Allen was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knew exactly what he was knew exactly what to do in the player jumps.
Yeah, and I've always said this. I don't think SEC officials mean to be biased, but first of all, the majority of them are from Alabama. That's true. You can look it up.
Okay.
But I don't think they go out saying, I'm going to cheat. But I think there's just some bias in there, and SEC officials always seem to know who's supposed to win. And if that supposed to win team is at home, then you really got to overcome the officiating as well as the team. And that's not just that about A&M. When I was living in Nashville and started really following the SEC, I saw how one time Arkansas got severely hosed by a call against Alabama. LSU had an interception by Patrick Peterson against Alabama. Nope, called it off, and a couple of plays later, Julio Jones scores a touchdown. And it's not that – and the Alabama retort is, well, we get called for more penalties. It's not the penalties so much, the down to down. It's the very pivotal calls that seem to always go against the team that's, trying to overcome the officiating.
Understood. Olin, I do want to go ahead and shift gears because
let's shift.
Yesterday was, I don't want to say it was a surreal day because you kind of knew it was coming at some point with Gary Blair announcing that he will be retiring at the end of the 2021-22 season. You were at the press conference yesterday. How would you just describe that scene for those of us who weren't inside the building?
Well, it was emotional. Gary certainly was, and then some of his players and ex-players and even fans, they were emotional because I kept thinking, man, if there's going to be this much emotion, all these feelings pouring out when you still have a season in front of you, what's it going to be like when the season is over? Because then even more emotion, I would think, or maybe by then, everybody's accepted it and will be able to ready to move on. But it's just a really emotional time, like I assume it was at Florida State when Bobby Bowden decided to move on, or was actually kind of pushed out, or pick Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. When you have a beloved coach, John Wooden at UCLA, when you have a beloved coach who's had so much success and has meant so much to so many people, and he announces that it's over, it's coming to an end, I'm stepping away, I've got to do some other things. You understand it, it makes perfect sense to you, but not only are you feel a sense of loss because this coach, it could be a woman, I'm Pat Summitt at Tennessee, and her situation was even more tragic. But you look at it and you say, you've meant so much to me and it's going to be gone. But then you think about how much of your life was invested in watching this person at their craft, and how much enjoyment that they help to bring into your life. You go watch sports because they're fun, because you enjoy it. And then when your team is successful and that coach is responsible for making the decisions that make that team successful, it becomes personal. And so, yes, does he deserve to walk away and enjoy his grandkids and spend more time with his wife and do travel and do things that you normally can't do? Of course. And I'm happy for that. But man, there's going to be a hole there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's great. What's the line from the Shawshank Redemption? Some birds just weren't meant to be caged, so you got to let them go. But, there's an emptiness there. Now, will it be filled? I'll say this. I hope Gary's listening. I'm sure he's not, but I hope he is. I believe Gary told a lie yesterday without meaning to. Gary said this program is bigger than Gary Blair. I do not believe that. I believe Gary Blair made that program. And I know what he's saying. It's going to go on. They're still going to play basketball. But every bit of success is that they have in the future can be traced back to what Gary Blair built. I don't believe Nick Saban would be as wildly successful as he has been at Alabama if Bear Bryant had not made Alabama a blue blood dynasty.
Yeah.
So everything that happens beyond that has happened at Alabama
can be
the
traced
foundation,
back to
the foundation was built
Bear
by Bear Bryant. And I think that it's the same here for women's basketball and Gary Blair.
This season will be his 50th year in coaching. Olin began in 1973 at South Oak Cliff High School in Dallas. He college stops at Stephen F. Austin, Arkansas, Texas A&M. 836 career victories, 430 of them at Texas A&M.
I saw him actually coach at Stephen F. Austin.
You saw him coach at Stephen F. Austin?
Yeah.
Well, that is your part of the state.
Yeah, and you know what? He had those Rodman girls, Dennis Rodman's sisters, from South Oak Cliff that he brought with him, and that he had some really good teams there.
Very good teams everywhere he went. I mean, he took them to the tournament, I believe, 7 or 8 different times.
There was a time when Stephen F. Austin in women's basketball was one of the top, 5 or 6 programs in the country.
Wow. Do you have a favorite Gary Blair story to tell, Olin? I mean,
well, it's very selfish.
Kind of like the mayor.
Well, I mean, it's very
Everyone's
selfish.
got one.
It's very selfish.
Okay.
So let me say that. But this just kind of tells you the kind of guy he is. Gary and I, we had a lot of conversation. I used to cover women's basketball in Texas.
Yeah.
And he and I would have a lot of conversations that had nothing to do with Texas and A&M, just the way women's basketball, just the way it was going and things like that. But we had a lot of conversations. We got along really well. And it was in 2006, I had decided to take that job with Yahoo and Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was covering, one of the last things I covered for the American Statesman was a game between A&M and Texas. So we're in the post-game presser. And at this time, Texas won because at this time, it might have been Gary's first, maybe second year. He's still building, getting the foundation laid. And Gary, again, this isn't about me. It's about, though, to tell you the kind of guy Gary is. He starts the press conference. He said, before we get started, I just want to say, I know Olin Buchanan is, I'm paraphrasing, I know Olin Buchanan is leaving the Statesman, going to go on to do some other things. But I just want to tell him how much we appreciate the coverage he's done for women's basketball. And he just goes, and it was almost embarrassing because, you're with your, how reporters are. They're all kind of snarly bunch that, you're not supposed to be friends with anybody, right?
Right.
And so Gary is saying all these nice things. And I actually had some of my colleagues, looking at me and kind of snickering. But what a nice gesture. Mm-hmm. Just what a nice gesture and that's the kind of guy Gary is,
I think my favorite thing about Coach Blair is when he would come back here, do his radio hits inside this studio, and before he comes on the show, he'll come back in the back and kind of make chit-chat about with the people in the production room. Never wants to talk about basketball. Only wants to talk about his Dallas Cowboys. He's a fan of sports. He's not just he made a tremendously wise decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna get into women's basketball, girls basketball at a time when in some places in Texas girls were still playing 3-on-3 basketball. I don't know if you know about that. I didn't know about that.
They'd play 3 on 3 players on defense and 3 on offense, and you couldn't cross mid-court. And that's how a lot of them were playing in high school and middle school. And there was the Title IX hadn't taken effect. So and then he came in and made South Oak Cliff a really good team. I don't know if he won a state championship or not, but I think they were a power. And then, again, he replaced Sue Gunner, I think it was. I think he might have became their assistant coach first at SFA and then replaced her and just kept everything going at SFA. And then, of course, he had success there because Arkansas wouldn't have hired him. And then he did so well at Arkansas. Just a great career.
Yeah, I mean, we could do an entire 3-hour show about Gary Blair. So much to say about him. So many accolades that we didn't even mention. I mean, the first of it, the number one of which is the 2011 national championship right here in College Station. But this will be Gary's last year. Soak it up while you can. Enjoy it. Go catch yourself some candy.
He told a story
all of that.
About sitting down with R.C. Slocum and discussing the future and the past and the present. I'm sure everything. Mm-hmm. And how it really gave him peace to go ahead and decide to retire. And I was just thinking, what two really good men, passionate for their sport, passionate for Texas A&M, passionate for life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are so many similarities between the two other than, Gary will carry on a conversation probably a little bit more than RC, and RC will talk a little slower. But I bet those two guys I bet you could sit there with them and they would talk for 2 hours and you wouldn't get bored. You'd be fascinated with everything those two guys have to say.
I mean, he said that he wants to be like RC and be the most popular coach in town. I think those are 1A and 1B, RC and Coach Blair. We'll have plenty more here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Pick some games on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Zone.
All right, guys, a moment now for our friends at the Association of Former Students. I love that group out there. Porter Gardner, Catherine Greenwade, Randy Reyes, Lexi Hudson. They're just a great group. But what they stand for and that association, they just do so much. They're the oldest organization serving the A&M network out there, and they've been doing it for over 140 years. Gifts from that Aggie network have empowered the association to be here, there, and everywhere. That's what they do. They give it to so many different organizations around campus. We're talking Midnight Yale Security, study abroad scholarships, and none of that is possible without your help. Giving to the association is as simple as becoming a Century Club member. $100 a year, about $9 a month. You're going to get that decal, the plaque, and the Texas Aggie magazine. Plus, you're continuing in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping other Aggies. All right, to learn more about the impact of the association, get involved, make a gift. All you have to do is visit aggienetwork.com/giving. It is the Association of Former Students.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Keep Brazos Beautiful is hosting their annual tree sale fundraiser on Friday and Saturday at the Brazos Center in Bryan. More information is online at keepbrazosbeautiful.org. Sponsor a flag for $50 in the Bryan Rotary Field of Valor, a 1,000 flag salute to service, on display at Veterans Park this November. Visit bryan-rotary.org to reserve a flag. Troop Over the Hill is holding auditions for their production of Merry Christmas, Dear Grandpa on Monday and Tuesday at the Main Street Playhouse. Visit troopoverthehill.com for more information. Find a list of fall festivals and Halloween activities in Bryan College Station this weekend at WTAW.com. Listen to the Astros postseason run on Sports Radio 1150 AM 93.7 FM and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. You can hear the Astros on The Zone and Gospel 97.3 FM. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your student started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kingsgate Christian School, Sunshine School, Kinder Music, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Texas Army National Guard. Aired by the Texas Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and services Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Razors, Global Electric Cars, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
You got to win multiple Super Bowls for it to be a dynasty. Do we ever talk about the Buffalo Bills that went to 4 Super Bowls and didn't win one? Do we ever say that it's a dynasty?
They would have won
the
one.
The Dallas Cowboys, the Boston Celtics, the New York Yankees, those are dynasties. When you show up at the Super Bowl and don't win, it's not a dynasty.
What about it's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor, here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Olin, we were talking about Gary Blair in that last segment, and during the break, you brought it up. Best memory has got to be Gary Blair doing the Dougie in 2011.
Yeah, right after the national championship, right?
Absolutely.
What a great memory is that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I can't do it. I'm not a good dancer, but it was a pretty awesome moment.
I don't know how to do the Dougie.
That's okay. I'm not going to teach you, so.
Didn't it look like the Batman dance or something where they put their hands over their face or something? I don't know.
Pretty much. Olin, you want to pick some college football
games?
games?
Let's pick them.
All right, pick
and
6
do the Dougie
time.
while we do it.
We'll begin the first game, number 1 Georgia versus Florida in Jacksonville, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. 2:30 kickoff on CBS. Georgia is a 14.5-point favorite.
That's a big line for a rival game, but I'm gonna go with Georgia and leave the points. Florida doesn't know who their quarterback's going to be, or they know, but Dan Mullen knows, but he's not telling anybody. But how do you score on Georgia? Now that said, Florida put up 29 on Alabama, so they're capable. But that Georgia defense is so good. I'm not comfortable with taking with giving 14.5 in a rival game, but in this case, I'm going to do it because Georgia's been so dominant.
Perhaps the biggest game in the Southeastern Conference and the game that I'm sure a bunch of Aggies are going to be watching for scouting purposes. Number 10, Ole Miss at number 18, Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium. 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite.
I'm going to take Auburn.
Auburn?
Does that surprise you?
A little bit because of how good Ole Miss's offense has been.
Yeah, well, but has it really been good the last 2 or 3 games?
Well, I guess maybe they haven't been as potent as they possibly can, but it's just the threat that
they've got a lot of
with them.
First of all, they've got a lot of injuries at the receiver position. I think Braylon Sanders missed the last game, and the guy they have named Mingo missed the last game. I don't know if they're going to be back or not, but if they're back, are they going to be at full strength? And their best interior lineman, offensive lineman, Ben Brown, is out for the season. Had an injury. He announced on Twitter on Tuesday that he's out for the season. And, Auburn's not overpowering on the defensive line, but they're pretty good. So I'm just betting that and I'm not buying that Ole Miss defense suddenly looks good. I'm thinking that Ole Miss may have some trouble winning the line of scrimmage against Auburn, and then I think it's going to be something along the lines of Auburn winning 34, 31, 30, 31, 27, something along those lines.
Number 12, Kentucky travels to Starkville to face Mississippi State. The Wildcats 6-1, the Bulldogs 4-3. 6 o'clock kickoff on the SEC Network. Mark Stoops and company, just a 1.5-point favorite.
I know. That's such a good matchup.
Surprising that the line is so.
Well, here's the deal.
So little, so small.
Here's the deal. Kentucky's having trouble with pass defense. You don't want to be having trouble with pass. I think the last 3 teams they played has thrown for over 200 yards against them. Wow. You don't want to have trouble with pass defense against Mississippi State. And on top of that, I'm going to take Kentucky just because I think they're better. But this is why I'm so apprehensive. On top of that, you know what Kentucky does best offensively?
What's that?
They run the football. Mississippi State's actually pretty good against the run, which is why A&M running for 162 yards was such an accomplishment.
Wow.
I think because if it was 3 points, I think I would take, or definitely 3.5, I think I would take Mississippi State. But since it's just basically a pick 'em, I still think Kentucky's overall the better team. So I'm going to go with Kentucky. But, man, I don't feel good about it.
In Big 12 action, Texas travels to Waco to face number 16 Baylor, 11 a.m. kickoff on ABC. Baylor, a 2.5-point favorite.
Oh, see, that's a good old Baylor line right there.
That is a good old Baylor line. I get the joke.
I think that, yeah.
The pun.
Yeah. Is that I don't, look, Baylor, I don't hate you. I do. I got nephews at Baylor. I had a niece at Baylor. But that said, is that the lamest, song school? The good old Baylor line?
Everything about Baylor's pretty lame, including the fact that they're selling Saw 'em Off merch and green and gold this week.
Are they really?
Yeah, they got the rights to the.
They're stealing.
They got the rights to the design from our friends at Aggieland Outfitters and are selling
so
Saw 'em Off stuff in green and gold.
Money to
yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay, just goes to show that A&M doesn't follow trends, just sets them. I think Baylor's going to win. I've seen nothing from Texas that makes me think, wow, that's a great team.
But do they cover the 2.5?
Well, 2.5
Yeah.
to me, yeah. I mean, that's a field goal.
I have to ask.
How many games do you think are actually decided by less than 3 points?
I'm going to go ahead and say
10%,
2%.
Maybe
Not even saying 5% of games.
So I'll take the Baylor Bears.
Number 19 SMU travels to Houston to face UH. 6 o'clock kickoff on ESPN2. Houston 1.5-point favorite. Another pick 'em.
Again, that's basically a pick 'em.
SMU is 7-0.
Yeah, everything about this screams to me that Houston, which is why I'm taking SMU.
Oh, you're taking SMU?
Yeah, I am.
So College Game Day not in Houston, which remember in years past gave us one of the best Lee Corso moments of all time, where he threw the helmet and said and a word I'm not allowed to say. That was an SMU Houston game.
He actually dropped it?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No.
Wow, you might be the only person
I
in
guess
college
I missed
football.
that one.
I'll show it to you during the break.
I guess that was the first sign of his senility starting to set in.
But the segue was supposed to be that was a game day game. Now I'm going to the game day game in East Lansing. Number 6 Michigan 7-0 versus number 8 Michigan State 7-0. 11 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Wolverines 4.5-point favorites over their rivals.
Everybody listening, I'm going to tell you something. Richard Zane does a great job for us. I mean, really, I'm not just saying that. He does a great job for us. And because of that, I will defer to him, and I'll ask you who you're going to pick in that game.
I
know you're a Wolverine at heart.
I am not a Wolverine football fan.
You're not? I thought you're all things Michigan.
The Wisconsin game last year. I've told you this story.
You just gave up?
That broke me. I still watch Michigan football and Michigan hockey.
I'm taking Michigan because I like Jim Harbaugh, and I don't mind saying it. I like Jim Harbaugh because I like the way he gets under everybody's skin, kind of like I do. So I'm going to go with the Wolverines. I think one thing that Feinbaum and people people all over the country, they would just be so bothered if Michigan was 8-0.
I like your pick.
So I'm going to go with the Wolverines.
I
like that movie.
I just think Michigan State's a pretender, and I think that Mel Tucker's going to be
a great coach at LSU.
A different coaching somewhere else at the next year. So,
yeah. Well, I don't think either one of them has one of those games where you look at it and go, "Holy cow! Look how good they're playing." In fact, I was talking to Zach Taylor last night on the Bluchie Hour, and he pointed out that both Michigan and Michigan State, both of them beat Nebraska by 3 points. The only difference was Michigan did it in regulation, and Michigan State did it in overtime.
That's Olin's picks. Pick 6, we'll have that story out a little bit later. We'll go into the final break here on the Go
pick
Hour.
6 like Kyle Allen.
When we come back, we'll bank on it and close the Go Hour, see what Olin's up to on his bye week. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers on The Zone.
Your home for Texas A&M baseball is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field, and now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at energyogre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
The end of the tax year is near, so if you need maintenance or replacement parts for your construction equipment, WPI has you covered. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings, and depth to teeth, buckets, and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around, and every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage.
The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
This is ESPN Radio.
7-time Pro Bowler Dwight Freeney.
Chris, hold it down for the D-lineman, baby.
You know I got you, big fella.
Allen Robinson, Chicago Bears.
I think whoever throwing the ball.
Thrilled to have Bubba Wallace.
My team and I, we can move mountains with everything that we do.
Nate Newton, former Cowboy.
You the man, Keith. You the man, okay?
World Series champ Brett McGriff.
A walk-off, you hit that home run off that pitcher, and you're running around the bases. Yeah, I got you, dude.
Aggies coach Jimbo Fisher.
We do it in practice, they do it in games. Everybody's dancing now.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman.
It's great to be in an ESPN studio for the first time in 17 years.
Another Hall of Famer, the great Steve Atwater. You took the soul of the Nigerian Nightmare.
That was a great play, but I don't want to be super disrespectful to him.
I would have said, Christian, look at me. Who's your dad? LaDainian Tomlinson.
We gonna talk hoops next time you come on the show. Who's squad?
I'm a Rockets fan.
Might be a while till we bring you back on to talk about the Rockets.
ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Just a few minutes left here in the Go Hour. Richard Zane and Olin Buchanan inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. And OB, it's time for Bank On It, presented by Vera Bank. Authentic, relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and his team, or to learn more, visit them at verabank.com. What are you banking on this weekend, OB?
I'm banking on the Aggies moving up in the national rankings, even though they're not playing.
Okay. Show your work, please.
Well, first of all, 2 undefeated teams are going to play in Michigan and Michigan State. Somebody's going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's just attrition. This has been one of those seasons of upsets. I don't know who ahead of A&M's ranked, 16th right now?
Yeah, I thought it was 17th. I could be wrong. Maybe 16th.
So I don't know if it's
14 in both polls.
That's right, 14. I don't know about the 13 teams other than somebody in the Michigan State is going to game is going to lose. But this has been such a upset-filled season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that somebody's going to lose. Again, I can't say who it's going to be. Don't know. But I'm banking on the Aggies ranked at least number 12 next week.
So Sunday afternoon, A&M can move up a couple spots.
I'm banking on it. Number 12.
I'll bank on
12's a good number at A&M.
Yes, very good number. I'll bank on the fact that I'm just going to do my homework this weekend now that I don't have football to worry about and get caught up on all my grad school.
Yeah, you know what? Another thing I'm going to do? I really want to bank on watching Ole Miss and Auburn, but I'm going to say this because I don't do this a lot. But my wife has been working literally nonstop from the time she gets up until she goes to bed at night, at sometimes 11 to midnight, because she works in child protective services, and they're just so overwhelmed by the amount of cases. And she struggles with lupus disease, so she has all these physical issues, and she goes out and does this really demanding, thankless job every day. I don't even think some of her supervisors care how much she's having put into it. So I'm banking on this weekend doing whatever she wants to do. If she wants me to have to walk her through the stores to look at antiques, which I detest, I'm going to do that.
So that's
because
how
she's earned it.
That's how you're spending the.
If that's what she wants
week?
to do,
awesome.
If that's what she wants to do, then I'll be recording that Ole Miss and Auburn game, because, man, she's deserved it. Irma, you're working way too hard. I hope your supervisors understand what you're doing, because I see it firsthand.
Olin, you're a good man. I appreciate you for taking your time out of your Friday. You didn't have to join me for the Go Hour, so go ahead and
Glad
enjoy your
to
weekend.
be here.
Man. Thank you. So that's the Go Hour.
Do a great job for the rest of the day.
Continue with more of TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Veribank. Veribank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending, ready to serve you. Veribank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual. Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
Like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. Follow us on Twitter at Zone 1150. Get connected now. With the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE College Station, Bryan.
WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. There was no disagreement among the College Station ISD school board candidates participating in the recent Chamber of Commerce Forum that the biggest impact to students in the last 18 months has been the pandemic.
Expanded comments from the CSISD Place 2 candidates dealt with not only academic losses, but socially and emotionally as well. From Kim Aggie.
And I think that those issues are also things that we're going to continue dealing with for a while. And that's why I want to acknowledge how thankful I am that our students are in school this year.
From Blaine Decker.
A year off is a long time. Learning those rules and those norms. That's the role of the school board, is to make sure we're adequately resourcing and working with the educators to identify the needs and efficiently resourcing them.
A third candidate for the district-wide Place 2 seat, Ming Gu, was not able to attend. Comments from the Chamber Forum participants are online at WTAW.com. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
A week and a half ago at the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum, College Station City Councilman Dennis Maloney was asked if College Station is the best city it can be at its tax rate.
Oh, you betcha. We rank 17th as the lowest tax rate. The ones that do better than us, you wouldn't want to live there. Unless, of course, habla español, hombre.
After that comment drew criticism from public speakers at last night's council meeting, Maloney's wife, Frances, a retired English as a second language teacher, spoke for nearly 10 minutes.
I would say that many of you have mistaken bias for racism. We all have biases. And I think that's what you need to look at yourself in the mirror and find it.
Those criticizing Maloney included former Councilman James Benham. Texas military leaders say that Operation Lone Star is having an effect at the border. The surge of resources to stop illegal immigration is not sitting well with some, but there are signs that Operation Lone Star is working to stop the flow. A major with the Texas Military Department says they have had over 4,500 turnbacks. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
The flagship station for Aggie athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Pioneer Steel, Gulf States Toyota, and Amarillo National Bank. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Join the American Heart Association for the Brazos Valley Go Red for Women Luncheon. On Thursday, November 4th, you'll learn how you can take charge of your heart health and empower others to do the same. Guest speaker is well-known humorist and motivational speaker Sally Baskey. Go Red for Women is presented nationally by CVS Health and locally by the Donald A. Adam Family Foundation. Go to brazoscountygored.heart.org for more. See you November 4th.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. The Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. The big news around Aggie land yesterday was the announcement that women's basketball coach Gary Blair would be retiring at the end of this upcoming season. The 76-year-old Hall of Famer says it was just the right time.
I've been thinking about it for the last couple of years that I've had to answer these questions. And it's right for my basketball program right now. That's the most important thing. It is right for the university. It is right for my recruits. It is right for my current players.
Blair arrived in Aggieland 19 years ago and led the team to its only national championship in 2011. He'll tip off his 37th year as a college head coach on Tuesday, November 9th against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Aggie women's soccer wrapped up its regular season last night following the Missouri 1-0. The loss means the Maroon and White will miss out on the SEC tournament for the first time since joining the conference. Women's tennis claimed 6 victories on day 1 of the Rice Invitational in Houston. Day 2 gets underway today. And men's tennis kicks off competition at the Gamecock Scramble in Columbia. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
You can hear every Aggie football game, home, road, or bowl, every Aggie football game right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Game Day on The Zone, brought to you in part by Bobcat of the Brazos Valley, Frontier Communications, and BCS All-State agent Jerry Anderson. After every Aggie home football game, 30 minutes after every Aggie football game, tune in for the Twin Peaks Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs.com.
It's 9:05 here on a Friday morning. Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. On a bye week for the Fighting Texas Aggies, they'll be back in action next Saturday against Auburn. Still don't know what time that game's going to kick off for yet. 6-day window. We'll find out. Right now, we do want to go out to the BCS video hotline and chat with Chris Gordy of Sports Talk 790 in Houston, also the host of Locked On the SEC podcast. Get some World Series chat as the Astros and Braves will play Game 3 tonight, as well as some SEC conversation as 4 games are on the schedule in the best college football conference in the nation for this weekend. So, Chris, how's it going, man? How are you?
Yo, coming to you from really ugly, rainy, cold Atlanta. There's nothing that screams not baseball weather more than this. So, yeah, this will be interesting to see. It looks like they're going to play tonight, but man, it's going to be cold, windy, and rainy, and just ugly.
So you say it's cold, windy, rainy, ugly. What is the forecast? How cold is it outside? What's the precipitation outlook for the rest of the day and into the evening as the Braves and Astros hope to play Game 3 tonight?
Yeah, it's about 50 degrees all day into the night. I think as the game goes along, it'll get into the upper 40s, but it's like 50% chance of rain the entire day. I mean, it's just going to be cloudy, wet. I mean, you can play through drizzles.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, if there's a couple downpours, they may have a couple rain delays, maybe have to bring the tarp out on the field, and that could really change the momentum of the series when you talk about, starting pitchers and what happens if they get going for 2 innings and then they got to take a long break. So all that is in play. The only thing I'll say is the humidity is high. It's about 91%. So that means balls will still fly out of the yard. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when it gets really cold and dry, that the ball dies. I think we'll still see live balls. We'll still be able to see balls hit far. But, man, it sucks for the city of Atlanta because they've waited over 20 years for a return to the World Series. And all their fans are going to have to be wearing ponchos and umbrellas to watch this game tonight. So I'll be interested to see what effect it has on the crowd.
You mentioned it being Atlanta's first World Series in 20 years. It's first time since 1999 the Braves have been in the series. So you gave us a forecast update. What about a vibe update? How's the feeling like in Atlanta, the electricity and energy around town?
Well, I'll say this, it's a newer ballpark. The whole area around the ballpark, they call it the Battery. It's like shops and restaurants and bars and all kinds of stuff. It's a really, really cool area. I've never been out here, but for those of you who've been to Minute Maid Park, in Houston, one of the things that kind of sucks is there's just nothing around the ballpark. There's a couple restaurants here or there, but like when you come here and see what Atlanta's got, I'm hoping Astros owner Jim Crane is here and kind of gets to see the atmosphere around here, because once he sees this, he's going to say, man, we got to have something like this here in Houston. But yeah, there was tons of Braves fans out and about last night when we were having dinner, and it's pretty electric. This city has been waiting for this for a long time. And so, yeah, I don't know if the weather's going to deter them. And particularly, look, if you paid $900, $1,000 for a ticket to a World Series game, I think you're going to go and not give a damn how cold or wet or rainy it is. So, yeah, I think the crowd's going to bring it tonight. I think it's, really big on the Astros to maybe, score a run or two in that first inning. Take the crowd out of it, get some momentum early, and, I think that'll go in the Astros' favor.
We'll get into Game 3 in a little bit. Luis Garcia, Ian Anderson, the pitching matchup tonight. But I want to go ahead and recap the first two games with you. Obviously, we don't do too much Astros World Series chat here on TexAgs Radio, but the bye week gives us the perfect opportunity. Game 1, the Braves took 6-2. Astros rebounded on Wednesday night 7-2. What are just your key takeaways through the first two games of best-of-7 series?
Yeah, I mean, the first game, the story was the Astros just couldn't hit. I mean, Charlie Morton did his thing. He ends up getting hurt. He comes out of the game, and the Braves bullpen was nails. The flip side, Framber Valdez, the starter for the Astros, he was not very good. He was not sharp. So, kind of put him in a hole. The Astros fought. They didn't, they hit some balls really hard in that Game 1. And that's what was encouraging was it wasn't like they were getting owned. They were making good contact. It was just, oh, man, they just missed a home run there. Oh, man, they just hit it into a fielder's glove. So, that was encouraging. And so then in Game 2, we saw those balls start to drop. We saw the Braves make a couple defensive miscues and led to a big inning from the Astros. And then they got, great starting pitching from Jose Urquidy. So, yeah, I think the first two games are kind of what you expected. I kind of thought the Astros would split the first two. This Braves team is really good. They're a talented lineup 1 through 9. So, I think it's played out kind of how we expected. Now, here's the deal. The Astros have to at least take one in Atlanta, bare minimum. The question is, can they take two? If they can take 2 out of 3 here in Atlanta and send it back to Houston for a game-clinching, 6 or 7, I think that's exactly what they want.
Man, as a Dodgers fan personally, you do not have to tell me how good Atlanta's lineup is. They are they're mashers. They're just like Houston's lineup. Anybody 1 through 9 can hit it. So I want to talk about the two hottest hitters in baseball, Eddie Rosario in Atlanta and Yordan Alvarez in Houston. I mean, which guy would you take personally? I mean, they're both just otherworldly right now. Surface of the sun hot.
Yeah, I think Yordan is the one. I mean, this guy's still so young, still so inexperienced. I think just, a couple weeks ago, he had played his 162nd game. Like he had just played the length of a full season in his career because he has had some injuries and all that. But, man, you just wonder, is he just scratching the surface on what he can be with the power, with the home runs? the power threat that he brings to this lineup. So, yeah, I do think it is Yordan Alvarez. Rosario is great, too. I don't want to take anything away from him. Such a cool story for the Braves. Three, their whole starting outfield they acquired at the trade deadline.
Yep.
You don't see that happen very often when you change an entire unit at the deadline, but it's worked out for them. And, look, I think the key to this series is going to be the Astros lineup. A few years ago, I was writing a story yesterday and kind of comparing it to the 2017 World Series team. And you look at it and you say, man, you had Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander and Lance McCullers and Charlie Morton. That was your rotation in 2017. And now you look at it with the Astros, you have Luis Garcia, Framber Valdez, Jose Urquidy, and you're kind of looking, is it Zach Greinke? Is he, he's not stretched out? Is it Jake Odorizzi? There's really question marks with the Astros starting rotation. And so that's why I think it'll be even more special if the Astros are able to win this series, because they'll do it with their offense, because the pitching has kind of been mediocre to decent.
You mentioned the pitching and how Houston doesn't have the best rotation, hasn't had the best success in the postseason with their starters. But that Morton injury, that broken leg, he's done for the postseason, done for the World Series. I mean, first of all, ridiculous that he got 3 more outs while pitching on a broken leg. Adrenaline's a hell of a thing. But how much do you think that impacts Atlanta's rotation? And right now, who do you think has the upper hand in the starting pitching department?
Yeah, I still think it's Atlanta. I mean, you lose Charlie Morton. Well, he was only going to pitch one more game of this series. And so, the question is there another arm in Atlanta's pen? Can they go a bullpen game? Whatever. I think that's a bigger, people, it grabs headlines, but I don't think it's as big of a story as people want to make it out. Look, you get to this point in the season, you got guys in your bullpen. You have other arms you could turn to. And, as big of a story as it was when the Astros lost Lance McCullers after the ALCS, a lot of people saying, oh, they're done. Well, other guys have picked them up and kind of stepped up. So I think it is a story, but I don't think it's one that's going to make or break this series. But the Astros have to take advantage. Again, the starting pitching on both sides, throughout these playoffs. So we've seen some bad performances from some good pitchers. So I think it's going to come down to the bats on either side.
You mentioned those guys stepping up. One of the pitchers who stepped up in that ALCS against Boston was Luis Garcia. Perfect, almost through 5 innings. He gets the ball tonight facing Ian Anderson in Atlanta. What do you think about this pitching matchup, and who do you think has the edge on the mound tonight in Game 3?
I think the edge tonight is Atlanta. Ian Anderson has been really good, very consistent pitcher. He has one bad outing against the Dodgers. But on the flip side, Luis Garcia, I was a little surprised they decided to go with him in Game 3 and not Game 2, because his numbers all year, he's been a much better pitcher at home than on the road. So it was very interesting that they went Urquidy in Game 2 and pushed Garcia to the road game here. And one thing to watch with Luis Garcia, I don't know what it is, but when he's pitched games, he loves to blow into his hand and try to stay warm and keep that hand warm. I saw him do that in games where he pitched in like 70-degree weather. It's going to be 50 tonight. He's going to be blowing into that hand all night long, trying to stay warm, keep that hand warm. And, if he struggles at all early, man, it's going to be tough to see him get pulled and then go into the bullpen so early, knowing you got to play 2 more, you got to play tomorrow, you got to play the day after. It could really hamper the Astros. So I think they're really hoping and crossing their fingers that Luis Garcia can repeat what he did in the ALCS and come back strong, because they really need him to be good.
That's something I haven't realized about Luis Garcia. I'll be definitely clued in on that when I watch the game tonight. 7:09 first pitch on Fox. Chris Gordy's with us, Sports Talk 790 in Houston, talking some Astros Braves World Series. Who's your player to watch tonight offensively from both the Astros and the Bravos?
For the Astros, it's got to be Altuve. I mean, he's the star that, the straw that stirs the drink, if you will. So there was so much made about Carlos Correa and, early in the playoffs, he hits a big home run and all that. But to me, it's about Jose Altuve. And his average has not been good this postseason. I believe prior to last game, he was batting somewhere around 170. Did have a home run last game. And so maybe he can carry that momentum over a little bit. But yeah, that's what's been frustrating, is we know how talented this Astros lineup is 1 through 9, but just, man, sometimes they're just inconsistent. And we're seeing that from Altuve and Bregman. Both those guys have not been up to par what we expect. The other guys have. Michael Brantley's been great. Yordan Alvarez has been great. A lot of the guys throughout that lineup have been good, but man, it's got to start with Altuve and kind of Bregman to a lesser degree. Both those guys have to hit. So I'll be interested to see. The other side for Atlanta, Jock Peterson was the guy who was kind of the hero of a lot of those games that they had against the Dodgers and throughout the postseason. And he really hasn't done much this series. So I'll be curious to see if he kind of gets something going, gets an early home run or something to put him on the board and get that momentum going for Atlanta.
You mentioned Altuve, 22 career postseason home runs, tied for second with Bernie Williams on the all-time list. Manny Ramirez, the all-time leader, with 29. That's just ridiculous, and just goes to show the longevity and the consistency of this Astros team in this what has been the best era of the franchise's history. Chris, what will you be doing coverage-wise for tonight's game and the next three in Atlanta?
Yeah, we'll be doing our extended pregame coverage on Sports Talk 790 in Houston, and we'll be bringing you a bunch of videos and kind of, for people who couldn't make the trip or be in the ballpark, we'll be bringing some videos and stuff on my Twitter. So if you watch at Chris Gordy, we'll be putting some stuff out there, and really want to show you guys the Battery around the park. It really is a cool experience. Shops and bars and restaurants and all this kind of stuff, and it really makes you wish, man. We wish you had something like this in Houston.
Yeah, I'll be watching some of that as well. I'm interested to see what coverage you've got of the atmosphere. At least that's my favorite thing to watch right now, especially because I don't have a dog in the fight. Chris, appreciate the World Series update. We'll switch it to the SEC on the other side. That good with you?
Perfect.
Appreciate it. Chris Gordy, Sports Talk 790 with us here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, it's time to take a break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers right here on The Zone.
I love me some nature. They call me the nature boy. No, that's Ric Flair, but I do love Milliken Reserve. What a community, guys. Farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes. They got trails. They got farms. They got wide open spaces. And what they want to do is build a healthy community around nature. And I get the veggies there. My wife and I, we go every Thursday, pick up our veggies. That farm is phenomenal. When we moved here, that was one of the most important things. Where are we going to get our veggies from, right? We want it fresh. We want it done right. And we go to Milliken Reserve. But they got way more than that. Hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, summer camps, music festivals, farmer markets, farm tours. Just a great, great environment. 2,600 acres of open space, farms, 30 miles of trails and homes. They got a network of trails throughout that wooded landscape that you can do the walking, the equestrian paths, the creek ponds, and the gatherings. Just a really wonderful place for generations to come. Go learn more online at millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living, First Financial Bank, and Cooper's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
There's a Kubota for every job. There's a Kubota for every harvest. There's a Kubota for every task. And at Normandy Tractor, for a limited time only, take the drive to Normandy, Texas, and let Vernon and the boys show you what they have. Get the new Kubota BX 1880 16.6 horsepower tractor and a Kubota loader with a quick attach bucket now through December 31st, 2021. For a cash price of only $12,950, or payments as low as $170 per month. With no money down, based on 0% down, 1.99% APR for 84 months. Normandy Tractor has over 8 acres of Kubota tractors, Kubota RTVs, ATVs, and Kubota mowers to choose from. They're at the corner of Highway 39 and OSR in Normandy, Texas. And remember, nobody beats Normandy Tractor. Nobody.
Now through December 31st, 2021. For warranty terms, see Kubota's limited warranty at KubotaUSA.com or your Kubota dealer.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Jason Bainski Realtor, Lone Star Roof Systems, Law Office of Jeff Paradowski, Kraus Paint and Body, Wings and More, Blinn College, and Serve Pro of the Brazos Valley. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagle football sponsors.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Belucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Belucci Hour Happy Hour.
Listening to The Zone on your smart speaker is easy. If Louie can do it, anyone can do it. 2 simple steps, and you can hear Chip Howard Sports Talk, TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, or Aggie football, basketball, or baseball on your smart speaker. Step 1, and one time only needed, say Enable Zone 1150 skill. Then anytime you want to hear your favorite host or teams, all you have to do is say, play Zone 1150. Make sure to set it up and say, Enable Zone 1150 skill. And then listen in anytime just by saying, play Zone 1150.
Welcome back. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here on The Zone. I'm Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio in College Station. Right now we'll hop back out to the BCSI Associates video hotline and chat with Chris Gordy, who's in Atlanta, ahead of Game 3 of tonight's World Series Astros-Braves 7:09 on Fox. But we're going to go ahead and switch it to the Southeastern Conference conversation. And Chris, there was an article put out this week by Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, who's a friend of the show here, and he was talking about his picks to win Coach of the Year in the league, and Jimbo Fisher was left out of his top 4, upset a few Aggies. I'll give you his top 4. He had Mark Stoops, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, and Brian Harsin. Do you agree with that list, or how would you shake things up, and who is your pick to win Coach of the Year in the SEC?
Yeah, I don't know if I could put Harsin on that list just yet. He's still got a lot to prove for me. Jimbo is, I would definitely have my eye on him just for the simple fact that if A&M does run the table and they went out, and granted, it's going to be hard. Look, playing Auburn, I think at Ole Miss and at LSU, if he gets wins in all 3 of those games, coupled with the win over Nick Saban, slaying the dragon, beating Goliath, and finally beating Alabama, I think you definitely have to consider Jimbo up there. And man, we've been talking about all week. It's a year of what if. What if for the Aggies, man? What if we beat Arkansas? Mm-hmm. What if we had beat Mississippi State? If you have a win in one of those, man, this season goes from really good to special, and you're right there where you want to be. And so it stinks. You can't change the past. You can't change what happened, but what you can do is look forward and try to finish this thing strong. And I think if the Aggies do win out, I think you absolutely have to consider Jimbo. But, Mark Stoops, I think, is up there. I think everybody thought Kentucky would be good. I don't think they thought they would be second best in the East good, and that's what they've been. They've got an opportunity here to win out. Really tough game at Mississippi State Saturday night. But if Kentucky can win out, I think Mark Stoops deserves it. Kirby's look, you're playing with a loaded deck. Everybody thought Georgia was going to be good. I don't know if we thought the defense was going to be this good. But if he goes undefeated and Georgia gets to the playoff, it's a great year for Georgia. But I don't know if we're patting Kirby on the back going, hey, man, congrats, you deserve Coach of the Year honors. It's almost like Alabama. Nick Saban, when he runs the table, hey, great, it was expected. It's not like we should give him an award every year for National Coach of the Year. But, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Jimbo's name not being on that list, I think Jimbo's got an opportunity here the next couple of weeks because, look, I've been raving about the Aggies, what they did the last 2 weeks. And then Lynn Scarborough from Lindy Sports, I was talking with him yesterday, and he says, well, wait, didn't A&M just beat Missouri and South Carolina? I said, okay, yeah, I get it. The competition wasn't great, but you still got to go beat your competition. And the Aggies steamrolled both of them. So all you can do is play who's in front of you, but I'm a little bit more optimistic about the Aggies finishing strong this year.
I would agree with you. Mark Stoops and Kirby Smart up there. And your comparison to Nick Saban being National Coach of the Year kind of reminded me if the NBA wanted to give LeBron James the MVP every single season, they could because he's the best player going right now, but that's not the name of the award. Speaking of coaches, though, I know you've got your LSU sweater on. You're an LSU grad. What's the latest with that coaching search in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, it's a process that's going to take a lot of time. I mean, I think what fans love to hear, the minute you said we're moving on from Coach O, every fan wants to get the biggest name out there, and they want to know the scoop. Everybody's got intel, right? Everybody's got inside sources. And I think Scott Woodward, as you guys know, he goes big game hunting, and he's very calculated and precise in what he does. And the big thing about Scott is he keeps a close, tight group around him. There are no leaks with Scott Woodward. There are no rumors or rumblings. When they went and got Kim Mulkey, it was kind of this joke around Baton Rouge. Yeah, right. Yeah, Kim Mulkey's really going to leave Baylor to come to LSU. Yeah, right. And he ended up pulling it off. And, I think people felt that way with Buzz Williams. Now, look, Buzz hasn't had the on-court success just yet with the Aggies, but that was a big hire when he was able to pull him in. Obviously, Jimbo pulling him over from Florida State. And, we know what he did at Washington, getting Chris Peterson when everybody was like, he'll never leave Boise. He got him to Washington. So Scott Woodward's got an amazing track record of pulling in big names. I would just say this. There's not a name off the board. All the names we're hearing out there, I would just say probably Saban and Kirby Smart are the two you would not consider. But I think everybody else, we're hearing even Mike Tomlin at the NFL level.
Wow.
We're hearing, there's all these different names, James Franklin at Penn State. I think that you set your sights high. You call Dabo and say, hey, are you interested? If he tells you no, okay, then you move on to the next list. But I think you start high with the elite names and then kind of go from there. I think they're safe picks that they have kind of in their back pocket right now. I think Lane Kiffin's agent has already intimated he would be interested in the job. So if you want Lane Kiffin, I think you could have him. Lane's doing a great job in Ole Miss. I think he understands he'll never win a title there. If he comes to LSU, he'll have a great chance to win a title. The last 3 head coaches at LSU all won national championships. So I think Lane makes a lot of sense. Another one, if you really want to play it safe, Dave Aranda at Baylor. He's doing a great job there. Mel Tucker at Michigan State. He's a guy who's got ties to Nick Saban. And then, the ULL coach, Billy Napier, another guy who's got Saban ties, who's done a great job there. So I think all those guys are kind of safe picks, good fallback plans in case some of the big names don't hit. But just to quell some of the Aggie faithful, Jimbo's name has popped up, and there's some big boosters in the LSU groups that have said, they've always had their eyes on Jimbo. They've wanted Jimbo for years, ever since he was at LSU almost 15 years ago. I think Jimbo beating Alabama solidifies, I've got my program here. I'm doing it the right way. I don't want to leave A&M. So I think if Jimbo had lost to Bama and he's sitting here with 3-4 losses at this point, maybe the wandering eye catches him, but I don't think Jimbo's going anywhere. I think he's staying in Aggie land.
So if you had to make a prediction today, October the 29th, who do you think will be the next head football coach of the LSU Tigers?
If I had to make a prediction, I would go full on after James Franklin and make him tell me no. My only reservation about James Franklin, look, this is a guy who won at Vanderbilt. My only reservation about him is he's lost a lot of big games at Penn State. Doesn't it feel like every week Penn State's in the top 10 and they're playing another top 10 team and they lose? He hasn't won a lot of big games at Penn State, but I would love to get James Franklin. But as of right now, if I had to make a prediction, I think it's Lane Kiffin. I think Kiffin is going to leave Ole Miss and come to LSU. Great opportunity with great talent. He's coached 4- and 5-star talent before at Alabama. He never had that at FAU. He doesn't have that at Ole Miss. But the fact that he's got Matt Corral right there at the top of the Heisman list with Bryce Young still in the Heisman conversation, I think Lane makes a lot of sense. But I just say this, there's 2 things with Lane. I got to be sure that I'm getting the mature version of Lane Kiffin and not any of the get your popcorn ready comments and all this other stuff, because the off the field foolishness is kind of part of the reason Coach O is out, on top of, what's happened on the field. The other thing is I got to have a strong defensive coordinator hire. And these Ole Miss defenses the last 2 years have not been good. If I'm bringing in Lane Kiffin, I've got to hit a home run hire with his defensive coordinator.
Chris Gordy of Sports Talk 790 in Houston and the Locked On SEC podcast with us right now. 4 games around the league this week, Chris. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, the headliner in Jacksonville. Number 1, Georgia against Florida, 2:30 on CBS. How ugly does this one get? Georgia's a 14-point favorite.
Yeah, it's interesting because the question is, how many points do you think Florida can score, right? I mean, that's the difference maker here. Everybody's picking Georgia in a blowout, and that scares me a little bit because then that makes me wonder, is Florida going to hang around in this? Is this a game that, they lose 24-21 real late, something like that? But my big question is what's going to happen with the Florida offense? We saw 2 weeks ago at LSU, Emory Jones very inconsistent, threw a bunch of interceptions. Anthony Richardson came in. Anthony Richardson had 2 picks of his own, but man, that second half against LSU, he was lights out, taking them down, the offense down the field, touchdown drive after touchdown drive. I would really consider playing more Anthony Richardson. He's an electric freshman. So my question is, if Dan Mullen sticks with Emory Jones in this game, or the majority of the game, and we don't see much of Anthony Richardson, I think it could get ugly real quick because this Georgia defense is the real deal. But again, I always look at when everybody's jumping on the bandwagon saying, oh, Georgia's going to win this one big, it's going to get ugly. I start to wonder, does Florida have something up their sleeve and they keep it close? I still think Georgia wins, but I start to wonder if maybe taking that, if that line moves anywhere to 14.5, 15, I'm jumping on Florida in the points.
The only ranked matchup in the Southeastern Conference is number 10 Ole Miss at number 18 Auburn on the Plains. The Tigers, 2.5-point favorite. Who do you think takes this one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, my brain says Ole Miss because Auburn, I just feel like is a fluke, a little bit of a flukish team this year. Bo Nix, week in and week out, we see a good Bo Nix, we see a bad Bo Nix. We see a good Bo Nix and a bad Bo Nix. So I couldn't believe when I saw the Auburn open as a 1-point favorite, and now it's up to it. They're a 3-point home favorite against Ole Miss, who's a top 10 team. It just doesn't make any sense in my mind. The only thing I look at is this. Matt Corral got really banged up late in that Tennessee game. There were some questions if he was going to play against LSU last week. He did, but Corral didn't have to do much. It was all turning around, handing the ball off to Snoop Connor, Jerry and Ely. He really didn't have to do a lot with throwing the football. I think he will have to throw a football and be successful against Auburn's defense. It's going to be a hostile environment, but man, my brain still says go with Ole Miss. The guys in the desert must know something if they're still leaning for Auburn as the home team, but I'm not a buyer on Auburn just yet. Brian Harsin has to go prove it, win a big game for me. And Bo Nix, for that matter, has to have back-to-back, consistent, really good performances for me to buy into him. So I'm sticking with Ole Miss, but man, if Auburn proves me wrong, I'll give them their props next week.
On the way out, Chris, last Saturday night, we saw Mike Leach give us a vintage Leachian rant on why candy corn is disgusting, with it being Halloween on Sunday. Agree or disagree? How candy corn's the worst candy out there?
I don't know why people hate on candy corn. It comes around once a year, just around Halloween. If you don't like it, don't buy it, don't eat it. But man, I'm a candy corn fan. It's almost like around Easter where you get like the marshmallow peeps or whatever.
Yeah.
Those suck for like 11 months of the year. But the month of Easter, yeah, I'll eat them. It's something you're eating just, occasionally. Once a year, I'm fine with it. Candy corn is fine. Candy corn year round would be god awful. So I get where Leach is coming from, but lay off. It's something that comes around and is only relevant for about 2 weeks of the year.
Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us this morning, man. And enjoy Atlanta.
Definitely. Hey, thanks. Let's go get a win, Astros.
Yeah, that's Chris Gordy, Sports Talk 790. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Gordy. He's got plenty of coverage for you of everything out in Atlanta, the World Series, and the Battery around Truist Park out there. Thank him for his time. Time to take a break here on TexAgs Radio. And when we come back, we'll actually shift it to Texas A&M Club Ice Hockey. Jacob Norwood joining us in studio on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Zone.
All right, let's talk about Chance McClain Heritage Films. That's my buddy. Check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. They're just masters of what they do. Chance is just a brilliant, creative guy. But they make documentary films about your dad, your uncle, your boss, and they do such a great job, guys. I'm talking real documentaries like you would order online, right, or watch on demand or watch on Netflix, whatever it